going on, everyone? I hope you guys are having an outstanding day. Starting this vlog off in the middle of a farm field. Had an idea pop into mind. Well, I figured that as I was driving, there were a few things that dawned on me that I didn't necessarily hate, but they are things that I could probably have an opinion about, hence why I want to share them with you on this video. So before we jump into that, if you guys wouldn't mind, as you're watching this video, hitting that thumbs up button and also turning that red button to gray, that way you guys can subscribe to the channel and stay along. I wanted to talk a little bit about things that I didn't necessarily fancy with this car. With that said, this video by no means is intended to say that I hate this car. Hate is a very strong word. I'm going to say that I have an opinion about them, and if I could highlight some areas that I would like to change about the car, this would be them. As we're looking at the fascia of the car, the first thing that I'm really not a big fan of are the color matched headlights. Granted, it's one of the most known attributes of the Corvette. You get that color matched headlight bezel, which then goes along with the overall flow of the car, but personally I feel like it's too much orange. It creates this kind of blanket type surface where there's really no contrast to break apart the different attributes of the car. I do plan on painting them black, so that way they kind of break apart the front end of the car versus what they are right now, which is totally kind of just a blend factor. Plus the black headlights will go along nicely with the black plastic accents along the front of the car. Now, another thing in the front of the car is the quality of the fog light housing glass. It's very cheap. This is a Corvette. It's very low to the ground, so it is subject to all of the road debris. Not some, all the road debris. This car has about 45,000 miles on it, and these things are just battered to pieces. It looks like they were just in a sandstorm. The rest of the front of the bumper on this car is actually in really good condition, but that also leads us into the paint quality topic. Most cars nowadays, you get them, it's a water-based paint, which doesn't carry the quality attributes of an oil-based paint. Water-based paint is better for the go green type of initiatives that these companies have to follow on, but it does lead to some chipping here and there, which is unfortunate, but it's unavoidable. I could go out and expel the car, but this car didn't have expel on it for a majority of its life before I had acquired it. I don't really see it being worthwhile right now. Another line item here that we'll talk about is the wide body on these cars. So if I just give you guys a nice visual representation right there, you can see how much tire is exposed outside of the fender well, which then creates a direct shot to the rear section of the car, ultimately catching any debris that these front sticky tires throw at the car. So you'll see at a lot of vets, this area right here kind of gets sandblasted as well. There is one chip right there. I have a pen from the factory with the paint, touch-up pen, so I will probably touch that up. But one of the big complaints, and kind of goes hand in hand with the quality, that bee is really killing the vlog right now. Look at this, guys. It's unbelievably subject to any debris that gets thrown at it, but that is what it is. I don't really know what this thing is supposed to be. Yeah, its technical name is a spoiler, but I think it's kind of just a poor excuse for a place to put the rear third brake light. So we're gonna add a spoiler to the top of this car to give it that true definition that the rear end needs. Now, the only question is, do I go carbon fiber or do I go black? As I sit here trying to contemplate more things that I don't like about the car, other than the ones that I just discussed with you, I'm honestly having a hard time. I just put like 5 minutes into sitting here staring at different angles of the car. Stood on that side, I stood on this side, and I was like, all right, like I have to at least come up with a few more things that I don't like about it. But then I stood over here and I took a look from this angle, and I don't have anything else that I don't like about it. So with the challenge of me not coming up with anything else that I don't like about the car, how about we jump inside? Because inside, I know that there are definitely a few things that I want to mention. We'll see if the air conditioning even works in this thing. Usually my number one rule as a car guy is to never use the AC and throw the windows down, but being that you guys are on a GoPro right now, I want to keep that optimal audio quality. That thing's kind of cool. For all intents and purposes of doing this review, I am going to close my valves so that way it's a little bit quieter and you guys can hopefully hear me just a little bit clearer. So now that we've covered a majority of the exterior complaints, if you will, that I have with the car, I wanted to also highlight some of the interior features that maybe some would say are a little bit out of date or maybe just not so spectacular. The first thing I wanted to pinpoint out that I have a little bit of a problem with is this unbelievably tacky blue type of digitalized text that comes up on the screen. You've got your controls over here, and then you've got some other controls over here, mostly heads-up display. You can look at your fuel economy average. You can look at your instant fuel economy, which is kind of the immediate depression button. You got your range, and then it goes blank. Typically, I like to run it on blank because I just don't really fancy that text. But you've got some other indicators and KPIs over here. So it's really just outdated, and I think that in 07, there was technology available where Corvette could have come back, the brand Corvette could have come back and just made a little bit of an enhancement to that. It's manageable, but usually what I'll do is I'll just turn it off. Now, while we're on the topic of electronics, we can talk about this lovely, lovely head unit that you can see that was originated probably back in the 1990s, or at least it feels. It's got this nice little infographic that says Corvette when the radio is off, but contrast the black and blue with some buttons that you literally have to apply at least a pound of pressure to get to turn on. Now, another specific item that I don't so much fancy about my car specifically is the dashboard vent up here is broken. I think a clip is missing, or maybe just up.
The roof guidance will start now.
Oh man, that's scary. Let's turn that off.
Turn left.
Nope, 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 nope. Now we gotta end this thing. If it bothers me right now, it's really not all that bothersome, so I'm not too stressed out about it. Now, another thing, and this is an easy change and probably a modification that will come in the future, is the good old Cobalt steering wheel. These things are pretty atrocious if you ask me, and they're rather large. The circumference of this doesn't really fit the profile or the overall feel of the environment of a Corvette. I would expect something a little bit smaller and maybe profiled like the new Vettes have. That way you kind of get more of that race car feel. If anything, you're sitting here in a Vette and you're looking over this great valley that has all these contours and lines and unique characteristics, and then you have this. Now, another thing that's kind of strange is about this steering wheel specifically is we're in a manual car, so most of the right hand is occupied by your gear shift lever. There's no time really where you're driving like this, unless you're a student driver, of course, where you're holding 3 and 10 o'clock with your driving instructor in the passenger seat. So the button configuration really doesn't make all that much sense because nobody really ever drives like this that I know of. Most people drive like this, so it would be nice to have these buttons located over here. I don't know if there are any aftermarket manufacturers that do that, but that's actually a good idea that I just had, as I'll probably look into. But I am going to be getting a different wheel that's going to be rewrapped and hopefully some sort of an Alcantara or maybe suede type substance, and it's going to have some nice definition to really hone in on the characteristics of where your hands fall. So typical Corvette, you really don't get much space for anything else. Granted, there is this inch deep center console. It does have two 12-volt adapters, which is nice, one in the center and one right here. Of course, your ashtray, which is removable, and honestly a total waste of space. But the cup holders really don't accommodate much. I have a coffee mug that I put in here in the morning that I actually have to hold down as I'm driving to work because sometimes it feels like it's going to fall out. Now, aside from those few little things, I honestly really don't mind the interior of the C6s. A lot of people said initially when I was looking at these cars that the interior might ruin it for me. Well, I gotta say that the overall capability of this car and kind of the value that you get from a C6 Z06 totally trumps any of those naysayers. You get in this car and you kind of get this wave of invincibility, again with the underlying tone of respect that this car requires at any given point in time. The seats are actually super comfortable. Ooh, that's a nice dually. I like that. It's got a wide booty on it, my goodness. But these seats are actually very comfortable. Granted, the bolsters are nothing to write home about. They're actually super soft, and the leather that was used to cover these seats is not that good. It does show signs of wear and tear and stretching a little bit more than I would hope, but it's something that just comes with the nature of getting in and out of a car that's pretty much 40 inches tall. All right, so we are back in the garage now, guys. There's one last thing that I want to do. Say hi to the vlog, buddy. All right, so you guys know that I have the vacuum actuated electronic control on my exhaust valves. But it's nice that the Mild to Wild comes with a second switch, and I've been thinking about mounting this somewhere in the car, trying to think of a good place to put it, and I think I'm landing on right there. I think it'll mount up pretty nicely, and without this little, that was a fail. That was a fail again. Without this little clasp, I think that we can make it happen rather easily. So pretty much the entire length of this thing here. Give it a nice clean cut. Press that down real nice and good like. Give this a quick clean. See if we can center it. Stick that on. I think we're good to go. So now I can just reach down here and hit the button. Yeah, my neighbors definitely love me. Now, another thing that you guys have been saying is that the tips on my car are unacceptably dirty. So a lot of you guys know that the two inner pipes are straight pipes, the two exterior pipes are muffled pipes, and that Mild to Wild switch that you just saw me install in my car basically controls the vacuum actuators that are right up here on each exhaust tip. So that's why the interior ones are way blacker. Starting to look a little bit better. Man, oh man, my arms feel like they're gonna fall off. I personally think they look way better in a chrome state versus that of the all black, but it'll probably get to a point where I just don't like cleaning them anymore, and I don't want to deal with this, so I'll probably paint them black. And here's a quick look for you guys off of the GoPro. I know that the GoPro doesn't come through at the highest resolution ever. I could polish them a little bit more, but I think they look pretty good. I have been looking at the Corsa systems, but probably won't go Corsa until I own my own house and I'm not in my townhouse. I really like the flexibility of being able to turn on and off kind of the loud mode of the exhaust, if you will, for the time being, just to kind of respect some of the other neighbors. Just taking care of some miscellaneous things around the garage here that I haven't been able to get done otherwise. If you haven't checked out my brand Enthusiast, I definitely welcome that you do so. I merely created a brand to represent people doing what they love, or at least the people that are on the pursuit of trying to do what it is that they love. I know that my life, you know, I work my day job, it's great and everything, but something feels as if I was meant to do more in my life, and I'm trying to kind of empower people to share the same thing through the brand Enthusiast, and of course to those that just love their vehicles or whatever it is that they're excited about. So anyway guys, my like league, I love you guys, do what you do best. I really appreciate you liking my videos. It does an amazing amount for the channel. It really helps add value to the channel, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, I'd really appreciate it if you guys did so as well. We're on the road to 100K and we'll be there before we know it, which I'm really excited about. Big thanks to you guys once again, and I will see you all in the next upload.